Great, beautiful playing, wonderful. Bravo, very good, wonderful. So I'm going to be a disruptor. You're a great quartet, you play fantastically well, there's a very high energy level. All the good qualities of quartet playing are there. So all I can do is ask you to consider a possibility. And I'm not putting this down as the right way, but I'm putting it down as a way to think. As you probably know and have followed, Beethoven was fascinated by the metronome. It was invented by a friend of his, and he loved it. And in fact, he wrote that it was essential to follow the metronome marks. Forget about the Italian markings, he said, they don't say anything. The thing that really makes the mood of the piece clear is the metronome mark. And in fact, he became very adamant about it, because he actually said at one point that the reason the performance of the Ninth Symphony in Berlin was a success was because they followed the metronome marks. I mean, he took it that far. So the quartets are all metronomed, as you know, and you've probably been thinking about it, and you probably took a look at the metronome mark and said, well, that's impossible. And it's certainly very, very extreme. It's very extreme. But it does teach us something. And what it teaches us is that the world that Beethoven lives in is a world of extremes. At this point, Opus 95, he'd finished the middle period, he'd finished the earlier period, he was just about to begin the late period. This is part of the late period expression. He was, at this point, virtually deaf. He didn't go completely deaf for another 4 or 5 years, but he was virtually deaf. He was struggling with it. And his level of frustration and anguish was in extreme form. He was also ill, he was cut off from the world. You know, there were just so many things about Beethoven's life that were intolerable and unbearable. And sometimes he expressed it with great joy and optimism and hope and said to the world, listen. And sometimes he said, sometimes he did that, right? And this is one of those times when he did that. So I don't know whether you want to actually do Beethoven's metronome mark, but my goodness, it would be very exciting if you tried. It's like the Hammerklavier. You know, the Hammerklavier tempo is only one pianist that I know of has tried to actually play it at the tempo. It's probably too fast, but it gives you an idea of where. Should we try and see where it goes? The extremity of those gestures, and it makes the rests extraordinarily important, because they're filled with power and with protest and with anguish and with despair and storm. Now, the only keys, the key of the storm in the Pastoral Symphony, do you know what that is? Yep. What is it? F minor, same key, right? The Appassionata Sonata, what key is it in? F minor, and this one. Right, so F minor is a very special key. He saved it for the most stormy and concise and powerful and defiant moments. Let's try it. He said, I'll quote something which won't please you ladies, but things have changed. He said, sentiment is only for females. Music must ignite a man's spirit. Right. Those were the days, right? What he meant was he wanted musicians and people to be like you guys. It's even more, listen. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's right, that's exactly right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. He was bipolar. Beethoven was bipolar. That's the way. That's extreme. Isn't that great? Let's try it. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. want you to look at that man's face. He comes from India. I said, why are you here? He said, my parents called from India. They say, you've got to go to this class. And he's sitting there going, that's what Beethoven did to the world. Beethoven probably changed the world more than any other person. And they think Napoleon. No, Beethoven. Because he had an access to an extremity of expression that was given to very few people. Now, there are two possible things we could say. Beethoven is up there saying, who are these stupid people? Why did they think I didn't really mean it? Or he's saying, thank goodness at last somebody takes me seriously. Right? Now, I tell you one thing that's really amazing, and this is a great compliment to you for, it actually improves your playing. So people used to say this was impossible. What you just did was impossible, unplayable. It clearly is not unplayable. I'm just about to record the Ninth Symphony of Beethoven in London with the Philharmonia. And I'm partly terrified and partly incredibly excited because some of the tempi are like this. Incredibly difficult to do. Will they be able to do it? Will people like it? In the end, I don't care. I don't care. Because I met Beethoven once, did I tell you? Yeah, oh yeah. I met him, he said, Benjamin. He was in German, of course. He said, my tempi are correct. My dynamics are correct, and they're counterintuitive, and that's the crucial word. You don't come to them by nature. You don't say, let's see, let's look at this piece. Yeah, that's no. You have to have some special message from Beethoven which says, no, like that. You say, oh, wow, all right. So you're young, you're brave, you've got nothing at stake because you've got your whole lives in front of you. I would say give it a try. Right? And see what happens, right? And if you get a bad review, great, the bad reviews are just as good as the good ones. Right? I have a friend who puts all his bad reviews on his website. Yeah, every time he gets, yes, he puts it all up there. Yeah. So let's be free, let's have fun, let's see what could the master have meant. Isn't that a great way of doing it? There's another way of approaching it, which is to say, well, the famous people don't do it, so I better not. Good luck. I just don't take that view. Just because famous people do it, everybody plays it slower than that. But you are great, and I'd love to, let's just for fun, it's 5 to 12, and 5 to 12, and the piece lasts 4 minutes. It's the shortest movement that Beethoven ever wrote. Are you ready? Fasten your seatbelts, everybody. All right, here we go. Fantastic. Bravo. You know, they're not actually clapping you. What they're clapping is about the permission it gives them to lead their life at the edge. Right, that's why they're so enthusiastic. Look at these eyes, look at her eyes. Right? She's a freshman. She drove up from Connecticut today. 2 hours this morning, she had to get, in order to get eyes like that. Where's that camera? Do you get the camera? Right. And look at her mum. Look at her eyes. That's why we do this. Is to get this. Look at him. I mean, he's about to explode. That's what this music does. It's that power. And they say, thank you, thank you, thank you for reminding me how I can live my life. That's Beethoven's gift. In spite of the fact that he was deaf and suffered unbelievable suffering. But he took us to a place that nobody else could bring us. Right? And that's a beautiful gift. And you have the gift of being able to realize it. And you should be really proud of yourself. And they're saying thank you for taking us to that place. We couldn't have got there without you. You got that? Beautiful. Thank you. And it took 4 minutes exactly. Great. You know, we just performed Tchaikovsky's Sixth Symphony, which is one of the saddest, most tragic pieces of music ever written. And you'd think that people would be upset and sad, but no. Music somehow lifts our spirits, even when we go through a traumatic experience like that song, Aufenthalt, or the terror of the experience of the young girl who discovers love for the first time. And it just lifts our spirits. It's an amazing thing, which is why we keep coming back and doing more and more and more and more of it and never want to give it up, because it's great. What a gift. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.